South Korea's defense minister is in Tokyo and is set to hold talks with his Japanese counterpart. For more on what to expect, we're joined today by Dr. Mi-kyoung, senior researcher at Social Sciences Korea Research Institute at Gyeongsang National University. Dr. Kim, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
So this is the first time that South Korean and Japanese defense ministers are meeting in a year and a half, right? What might be on the agenda?
Oh, the key agendas would include North Korea's nuclear and missile threats, regional defense exchanges and interoperability, North Korea and Russia's military cooperation, trilateral security cooperation among ROK, Japan, and the US, and unpredictability of Trump administration's policy stance towards its allies in the global theater. The meeting is likely to address the deepening military ties between Pyongyang and Moscow. North Korea has reportedly provided Russia with ballistic missiles, long-range artillery, and multiple launch rocket systems, as well as millions of rounds of ammunition. In return, Russia has provided North Korea with economic relief and protection from further international repercussions, along with military technology transfers. Both ministers are expected to confirm their nations will boost exchanges in the area of defense. This would include the reinforcement of trilateral security framework with United States that was institutionalized at Camp David in 2023, particularly as both countries navigate uncertainty around Trump administration's policies. Trust-building measures and enhanced military exchanges will be important, especially given shared challenges such as changing U.S. defense postures as reflected in its 2026 National Defense Strategy, which just came out, which omitted U.S. commitment to provide nuclear umbrella to its allies, denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, which also mentioned the full transfer of wartime operational control of combined forces to the Republic of Korea. So it seems like both ministers will have full plate of agendas to discuss and to ponder over.
Right, so a lot to discuss. And can this visit be seen as a sign that high-level diplomacy between the two countries is resuming? How do you see Seoul-Tokyo relations unfolding in 2026?
I think this defense ministerial meeting can be a part of shuttle diplomacy. There are some caveats about the outlook for 2026. Before delving into the caveats, I think it is worth noting that today's meeting represents continuity in the momentum that has been building since mid-2025. President Lee and Prime Minister Takaichi held talks in October last year and early this month, and these are the continuation of shuttle diplomacy as Prime Minister Takaichi's predecessor, Mr. Ishiba Shigeru, and ROK President Lee Jae-myung had vowed. On the other hand, I think we should be mindful of the caveats and that regard the continuous Dokdo-Takeshima tension, even though there was a sign of cooperation between the ROK and Japan over ROK's Black Eagles aerobatic team, which could refuel at Okinawa Air Base recently. But you know, these things can change any time when there is a triggering incident, as we have seen many times in the past. Another reason for caution has something to do with increasing China-Japan tensions. It could complicate the sustainability of Seoul shuttle diplomacy with Tokyo, particularly as repeated Japanese statements on Taiwan, and that could increase the risk of South Korea being forced into unwanted strategic choices. So it seems like this year, 2026, we'll likely see continued pragmatic engagement between Seoul and Tokyo, driven by shared security threats, but the relationship, I think, still remains fragile. The foundation, of course, is stronger than before, but historical disputes and domestic pressures could resurface at any time. Success will depend on both leaders' ability and commitment to forward-looking cooperation while managing sensitive issues in domestic terrain carefully.
I see. And just 3 months into Takaichi's term, she paved the way for an early election next week. That's on February 8th. Is this a calculated political gamble or a risky move for the Takaichi administration? What should we be watching for?
I think it is both a calculated gamble and a risky move. It is because the calculation is that she thought the risks are worth taking now rather than later. In other words, she wants to strike it when the iron is still hot. Takaichi had seen very strong approval ratings at about 70%. And the approval ratings among the youth in their 20s reached over 90% at a point, which was extremely impressive. But the recent pollings since her declaration of dissolution of Japanese parliament and her plan to hold snap election on February 8th, the approval ratings have dipped to about 60% range as the campaign opens. I think she is betting that her personal popularity can translate into more parliamentarian seats for Liberal Democratic Party before that level of high approval ratings erode further. At the same time, I think when the lower house was dissolved, the LDP had 196 seats, and Ishinkai, which is Japan Reform Party, in coalition with Liberal Democratic Party of Japan, had 34 seats. So the coalition had a total of 230 seats, which was just 3 seats below the majority threshold in the chamber. I mean, the total number of the representatives is at 465 seats. So Takaichi only needs a modest gain to secure governing stability by having majority seats if her gamble and risk-taking strategy succeeds.
I see. I guess we'll have to keep a close eye on that election next week. All right, Dr. Kim, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for your insight this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.